Wow! Okay, what a cruise we had. Hi! Welcome back. Yeah, it's a bit later now. It is the 20th of January. So we've had a lot of time to digest the cruise. I have edited all the videos. This is the last one that I'm gonna record and then edit, and then it'll be the last one to come out. But yeah, we have thoughts. What should we start with?
Okay,
let's start on Christmas Day. So, Christmas Day. So Christmas Day started to go wrong on the very first day. So your mum and dad got on the boat before us, and they'd asked that our 11 got sat together. They'd said that they'd try, but
Well, no, I think they said no, but they'd try and get us on two tables close to each other.
Near each other. And they failed on both counts, so we were nowhere near each other.
No, they failed on one count. We were on two tables.
I guess they told us no, then fine. Yeah, we were miles away from each other.
But when Mum came in the room, she saw it straight away on our, I don't know what piece of paper it said, but
some sort of like invitation.
You're on this table number for Christmas, and it was like, and Mum was like, oh, that's not our table.
Yeah. So the four of them were on. So it was your mum and dad, and then Mark and Sandra on one table, and then the rest of us that joined later, we were on the second table.
Yeah, and it was like two completely different sides of the.
Yeah. I didn't realise the restaurant was actually that big. We seemed to be walking for ages.
And that was the upstairs one, which is actually smaller because of the balcony area.
The balcony area, yeah. But downstairs didn't seem that big, even though.
No, it seemed pretty big to me when you had to like go out and back in. It was like, how far in are we actually? We sat in the same place pretty much every other time.
Yeah. That
we were in the restaurant.
Yeah. So when we found our table, we could see all the other tables around us had a bottle of white wine and a bottle of red wine. When we got to our table had just two reds. And Charlie and Simone are the only people at that table that drink red. So we were like, oh, that's not really ideal for us. We don't like this. So we flagged down a waiter and asked, oh, can we swap one of these reds for a white? Because all the other tables have got white and we haven't, and we'd like one, please. He said he couldn't do anything about it, but he'd go and find someone that could. We never saw him again. We then had somebody else. We flagged somebody else down.
We said we gave someone our red wine. Can we just have it back, please? Because he won't swap it for a white. So they went and they got us our red wine back, and then we just swapped it ourselves with a table.
Yeah, they said it was not possible. They'd run out of the white wine. So that was it.
And then, that's their problem to deal with on another table now.
So Charlie just swapped it from another table nearby, and the waitstaff like, no, what are you doing?
But also, I think he swapped it with a table of two.
Yeah, which we also didn't think was fair.
Which had 2 bottles of wine, and we were on a table of 7, also had 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah, I mean, granted, one of us was 11. So a table
of 6 with 2 bottles of wine, a table of 2 with 2 bottles of wine. Yeah. So we just swapped it with them, because really, I mean, they only probably deserve 1 bottle of wine for only having 2 people on the table.
And then they came to take our order, and they were not happy with the fact that I was gluten-free. I just felt like I was an inconvenience.
Yeah, it was like, oh no, we're going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
I think that we discussed this, that we found out from someone who was in the retreat that they were working in a restaurant for that night, and they never, they don't work in the restaurant, their job is the retreat. So I think in the way that it was going down, it felt like the people that we had as waiters were not waiters. They were just there because everyone was like batting down the hatches.
They'd been pulled in from somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's because every other night on Arvia, on all the P&O ships, it's freedom dining. So whenever you want to eat, you can go to a restaurant, you can put your name on the list, and you can go get a table, join the virtual queue.
Which we did one night.
We did. But you can join at any point. You can get seated basically at any point. So there's a very regular thrum of people. But Christmas Day, it's 2 sittings.
And it's like everyone is in a
everybody.
It's not like, if you don't want to go to the dining, you can go to this place or that place. It was like
they were all,
the buffets being used, the 6th Street diners being used. Everything. Every single restaurant was being used for a 6 or an 8:30 sit-in.
Yeah. I just felt like when I asked for gluten-free, I was an inconvenience. I looked at the menus and there wasn't anything that I wanted on there. I don't eat fish, so it seemed that the options that I could have were fish or salad, and I didn't really want either of that from the starters, so I asked for the soup from the children's menu, and when it came, it was just wet. It was like they had a big vat of soup, but they were right down at the bottom of it, so they just tipped hot water into it and just watered it all down so that it'd go further.
And that's actually what it looked like too. It wasn't like that's what it tasted like. That's what
it looked like. And that wasn't the first time I'd had tomato soup, and I continued to have tomato soup on the rest of the ship, and it was fine. It was thicker, and it actually tasted and looked like tomato soup. Yeah. This looked like tomato water. So he didn't seem pleased about serving me from the children's menu on that case. Then that must have led to a confusion on the second course was a sorbet.
Yeah, so it was like a 6 or 7 course that we got there, and there was an amuse-bouche, which was just disgusting. I think globally disregarded by all 11 people in our party. I don't remember what it was now, but it was rank.
It was disgusting.
Not for me.
I gave it a sniff and I just went,
then
no.
It was starter and then a sorbet, cleanser.
But I never got the sorbet.
No, you never got it.
Well, I eventually got it. I had to ask for it.
I asked not to have it, and so didn't get one.
But then he never asked...
You or Georgie.
He never asked me and he never asked Georgie. And Georgie was sat to my left. So as he came round the table, Jack said no. I didn't get asked, and neither did Georgie.
No one else.
But nobody else asked.
Jack
just said I don't want it.
So I didn't get one.
Yeah.
But it's on the menu. It's not like there's not a choice there. It's like you getting that.
That's the next thing.
Yeah.
So the other members of the party on that side of the table, they all got theirs. Jack didn't get his as planned, and then everybody else had kind of finished theirs, and then I noticed that I hadn't got mine. So I asked the waiter, where's mine? And it said, oh, you didn't ask for one. So I checked with the people opposite and said, did you ask for it? And they said no. So the waiter went to fetch me and Georgie our sorbets, and I took maybe 1 or 2 bites of it, and then dinner was here.
For them, wasn't it? Because they were like, oh no, we've got to get 2 people a sorbet, but they're like, dinner's ready. And so then they got the sorbet, and then by the time they got back, it was like, oh, the dinner's there. So then it was like, okay, we're just going to skip the sorbet, I guess, and go straight to dinner. And I mean, I had steak and chips, and on the menu was steak and a load of other rubbish. And I said to the guy, I was like, could you just do me the steak and some chips? Because we all know there's chips on the...
He said no.
And he said no, I don't know if I can do that. We probably don't have chips.
He said
and I was
no
like,
chips.
we both know that there's chips on the boat. So
and there's chips on the children's menu.
Don't even give me that, right? He said, I'll see what I can do. I said, look, if you can't do chips, just give me the steak with nothing else, all right? Because I don't want the rest of whatever you're giving me.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I think that confused him as well. Anyway, as it turns out, I did get steak and chips.
You actually got
and
2
I actually got
bits
2
of
steaks because he was like, oh, you didn't want anything else, so I got you 2 steaks. I was like, okay.
So that was nice.
The best thing that's happened tonight.
Yeah. My food was nice. My food was warm.
Yeah, the food was always nice. Except for the fact that
the roast.
The three people that had roasts just decided that they would... Well, Charlie is notoriously, if it's not piping hot, he's going to have an issue with it. And it was cold, so he had an issue with it. In the end, they settled on asking, oh, can we get a new meal? And they were like, oh, that'll take a long time.
Yeah,
like, hold on
but you'll have to wait.
We have been here before other people. We should get our meal first, and it should be warm. And then Holly just stepped in and said, you know what, just give us like really hot gravy and we'll be okay. That was kind of, we all...
No, Georgie...
None of us had a dessert? No, Georgie didn't get to
order one. There was no desserts available for me, and I'm not really an ice cream person, I have to be in the mood. So I said no dessert. You had no dessert?
Did I have vanilla ice cream, maybe?
Maybe. A couple of desserts. Georgie just didn't get asked. She'd prepared to ask.
So she thought she was getting a
she thought she was getting a triple take
dessert,
thing, yeah.
And then it never came out, and she was like, excuse me, I think I ordered a triple chocolate dessert. And they were like, oh. Okay, and then they did eventually bring it.
They brought that out.
And obviously desserts, like,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Oh, no, there was one more thing. So right at the end, he bought us some little chocolate things. So as he brought them over, he gave them a name of something. Did it? I can't remember what he called them. And he brought them over and he put them on the table and he said, thank you very much, like, have a good evening. And I said, are they gluten-free? And he went, they're chocolate stars. And he said, like, whatever they were called. And I was like, no, are they gluten-free? Are they, like, what are they? And he went, oh, probably. I did not take the risk. The right answer from him would have been, let me go and check.
Yeah.
Because it's fine not to know. I don't expect the serving staff to know exactly what's in the food that the chef gives them, but I do expect them to go and check. But I never saw him again. I just didn't eat the chocolate.
When we then met up with the other 4, they were like, oh, that was really good. And we were like, incorrect. Yeah. Not really good. Yeah. In fact, really bad. So I think it depended purely on where you were in the restaurant, what kind of experience you got, because of the fact that some of the restaurant staff were not there.
What's the next thing that we want to talk about?
I would just say that generally we had a good time.
Oh, on the boat, we genuinely had a great time.
I do think that a lot of we didn't really see that many staff members. And to be fair, I didn't like the way that the bars were run either.
That was weird,
where it's like a guy with an iPad and then you order from him and then that goes to the people behind the bar and then they make it and you've got to just wait awkwardly near the man with the iPad.
Like, imagine Costa or Starbucks, but for every single bar.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It's just unnecessary. Just have that one person behind the bar, then there's 3 people behind the bar, and you just order from any of them. It just made no sense.
Having the iPad person makes sense when they're, like, walking around the area. Like, if they're wandering around Beachcomber with their iPad taking orders, of course that then makes sense, because then you don't have to go anywhere. But we went to the bar, had to order via somebody's iPad, somebody with an iPad, and then we stood next to the bar and waited for the bartender to give us our drinks. And very like Costa. Starbucks.
Yeah, and then it kind of makes this long line because you only can talk to this one person, and then secondarily it makes this little cluster of people who are waiting for their drinks. So you kind of have a double whammy of like random areas of just people. And the bar service was generally pretty quick, even despite that.
Except ordering coffees. Coffees took a long time.
Yeah, specifically from Keel and Cow. Yeah. They didn't have a coffee. They don't have a coffee machine up there, so they have to go to the cafe.
On the topic of good news, on the topic of good things, Mission Control on board Arvia, fabulous. We loved it. So we didn't get it booked as we'd wanted. We wanted to do it, all of us, but things happened. We got busy. Me, Carol, Craig, and Mark got to do it. We did the children's version. So there's 2 versions. One that's called Submarine Explorers, and then I think that's what it was called. I'm going to find what it was called and I'm going to put it at the bottom. So we did the Mission Control. It's not an escape room, even though that word gets thrown around a lot. It's not. We don't get locked in a room. It's a scenario. No, because you could leave.
You could just leave, but
it would ruin the immersion. But there's no like.
It's not like, oh my god, we need to escape, but you are in a room.
Yeah. So you go in, and it's this submarine. There's consoles everywhere, a big screen at the front, and the room that you're in is slightly smaller than the actual room that you're in. So when you drive your submarine into the wall, the room shakes in response to having been driven into a wall. When you go round a corner, the room slightly, and I mean slightly, tips, only just to give you a bit of a feeling as well as you're looking at the screen to see you moving. If I'm incorrect and the room does not tip, it definitely shudders, but if I'm incorrect and the room does not tip and that was just the alcohol talking, then apologies in advance. I don't know what it's like for the other one, but the premise of ours, there was a captain actor on board with us, and he gave us hints, basically. So he was like, oh, we need to go and find the octopus. Can anybody see, like Dora the Explorer style, can anybody see anything that might help us find the octopus? And then there's a map that's like on the ground in front of us. So it's like, okay, drive to that then. So we drive to that. So everybody gets a role on board the experience. I was the oceanographer. I did nothing as the oceanographer other than watch. But as an oceanographer, I didn't get to do much. I think I pressed a button that released a probe to tidy up some rubbish. Carol did some animal identifying. She was a biologist.
It's a fish.
Yeah, but she just pressed a button when she saw a fish come past her screen. She pressed a button and it said like, oh, this is an angelfish, whatever. And your dad was a sonar person, so he must have had the Morse code thing. And then Mark was a navigator, so God knows how we managed to actually get home.
True that.
But again, everybody pretty much pressed a button. I couldn't film inside. I've only got that one clip of just going in and having a look around, and then I dutifully put the camera away. So highly recommend that if you are planning on cruising on Arvia. Moving on to other topics. Altitude? The high ropes?
That was fun. The
high ropes
was fun.
Real.
There's not really much to say about it. It was pretty simple.
No, it wasn't. It was hard.
No,
that spider web.
Okay.
And the one that was like
simple,
layered like that.
But that doesn't mean it wasn't hard. Yes. The ones that are just vertical were really difficult because you had no lateral kind of leaning. You couldn't lean on anyone or anything. And there were instructions at the front.
Which I walked past.
On the floor, like before you get up, harnessed up. It says like, if you want it to be easy, do this. If you want it to be more hard, do this. And that's for most of them. And then the spider's web and then like the ladders, that it said like, if you want it to be really hard, then do this. And I think we inadvertently did it.
We just made it really hard by accident.
Doing it really hard. Whereas like it says, oh, if you want to make it easy, just shimmy along the bottom cable because it takes your weight.
Yeah.
Whereas we were trying to like actually climb across. Which I guess is the point, but equally you didn't like it a lot, did you?
No, I got to the middle of the spider's web and had a moment. I expertly managed to cut it out of the main video, but I'm telling you about it now. But I had a moment of having to catch my breath and calm myself down. And you can hear right at the very, very end of the clip, just as I put my feet on the step, Jack asks me, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And not fine. But I made it.
Just being a little ass.
But I made it.
Anyway, the rest of them were like easy. Like not even, it was like, wow, this is really easy. It was like, you did those two and you're like, oh my God, this is so much harder. It was like not even like, there wasn't like a gradual increase in difficulty. It was like, oh, we can just walk across this, no hands. And then it was like, ah! So.
Yeah, pretty much. There was only one that I didn't get to go on and it was the circle plates at the other end. So there was 2 tunnels to go up.
Oh, you could have done that, but...
I know.
It was when we were waiting for Moana.
It was while we were waiting for Moana. So Moana was 11 and she pretty much nailed it all. She was a bit nervous.
Yeah, we told her not to go on the other ones. And she was, to be fair, she was like, I don't worry.
She watched us and she agreed, not for me. Which is fair enough because it's free to move around. Like you can go wherever you want.
Literally wherever, yeah. You get like an hour and you could just be up there doing all the obstacles once if you wanted to, or you could just, and that's what the others did everything once.
There was
there
were
2 other people,
and
they did it once, and then they just went, all right, cool, I'm done, bye. Yeah. Whereas we stayed up there for longer, probably mostly because Moana had come up and we were like running her through them too. On the way down, I had a little look, and Moana was like literally on the line for like, you can be this high if you want to do it.
She was bang on the height limit.
And the thing I'd say about that is if you're bang on the height limit, you can't do it on your own because she struggled
wouldn't have to do it on her own anyway. She was too young.
That's what I mean. You literally can't though. It's not like, oh, you could do it on your own. No, you literally can't because she could not reach the clips. You did like self moving between areas and you had like 2 clips. One of them unlocked the other. So you had to have one clip.
One was attached at all times. And the other one you used to move yourself from one to the other.
Because it was like you could attach, either of them had to be attached, but you could unattach that one as long as that one was attached, and then you would clip that one, and then you could go. But you could like unclip them like one by one, as long as the other one was attached. But yeah, that was good actually.
Really enjoyed that.
Big fun.
Make sure if you do go up on that you wear lots of sun cream, because you are totally exposed. There's no shade up there. I got really, really warm and I got a bit of red on my shoulders. It didn't burn, but it did start to go red.
But no, actually, it wasn't the most, like, you go on some of things like that and the harness is like horrendously uncomfortable. That was actually fine for me.
No, it was fine. Yeah.
Shout out the guy. He had a halo tag.
He did. Aiden. It was Aiden. His name was Aiden. So we talked about altitude. We've talked about mission control. We did the behind the scenes tour.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing! Oh my god! So we did the behind the scenes tour on Arvia.
Yeah, it was quite good. I think I guess they're limited to where they can take you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And
they can only go where you're not going to be in their way.
Was it engine room?
We went to the engine room first.
Yep.
Then we went to the laundry.
Yep.
That was amazing.
To be fair though, I mean the engine room was quite interesting.
The engine room was really cool.
And there was a couple of Russian people who were just like really conspicuously like doing their jobs really properly.
How do you know they were Russian?
Did you not hear them speak and their names?
No, I didn't.
They were definitely Russian.
Okay.
Either way, it doesn't really matter. That was interesting, but then we went up to the bridge at the end, and he basically gave the same talk about the engines and how it works. So it was just a bit like.
But what he said was basically the engine room controls the engine, that is somewhere else.
Well, it actually is kind of the whole.
He controls the whole ship.
The whole boat control.
So he does all the water as well, the heating, the electric, all of that comes from.
Where the power comes from, that kind of thing.
All of that comes from the engine control room.
But you can also drive from the engine control room.
Which I thought was really cool. So he said if anything was to go wrong and they were unable to access the bridge for whatever reason, they have got a secondary bridge, a spare bridge that they can access and they can drive the ship from. But if something was to go wrong with that as well, they can also drive from the engine control room. The only thing that would be a problem with if they were to drive it from there is that they can't actually see in real time. Cameras. They'd have to use cameras.
But yeah, then we did that first. Then we went from there to the laundry, which was interesting in its own way, because like, the washing machines were just like obviously massive, huge. Obviously, but they're automated like 10 different sections. So each section, that section does a rinse, and that section does a soap,
but even then, it was even smaller than that, because it had like things that came from cabins, so like bath towels, mats, hand towels, like bedding and stuff. That was all in one bit, and then there was the pool towels in another bit. Then there was napkins and table things in another bit. So, and then all of those had a rinse and a soap and a rinse. Yeah, and then when it got to the end, we saw like a cake. It came out just this like pancake that had just been squished. And then that was on like an automated lift that went up to the second level, which was the dryers. Where the dryers were. And they were like 100-kilo dryers, he said. And then it goes into folding. Yeah, and they had these automatic folders, which actually were pretty cool. I just felt like. But then actually, people had to manually fold the small towels or the hand towels and the napkins folded by people who just their job that was to stand there and fold. And then there's some that had to like feed the bed sheets and feed the big towels into a machine. The machine folded it and spat out this nice little, neatly folded bit. And then where did we go after that? To the mooring deck? Yeah, to the mooring deck. So we just saw the ropes that they used to mooring. We were at the front. Right at the front. We were at the front mooring deck. Yeah, that was really cool. And he was talking about the fact that the ropes have a higher tolerance on strength than a lot of the ports in the Caribbean, because they're so old that the anchor point on shore is more likely to give way than the ropes. He said he hasn't seen it, but he's heard stories of those mooring ropes coming, yanking taking the whole port stand over the bow of the ship, because there's that much tension on the ropes. And the ropes are better. And the ropes are huge. Stronger than some of the mooring lines on shore. He also talked to us about the anchor. and how it's very, very rare that they actually have to use the anchor for anything.
Because they don't do...
They just get it out to paint it, pretty much.
They don't do... what do they call it?
Stopping.
What?
I don't know.
No, the only reason you would stop on a cruise ship is because you're tender.
Oh, yes. And they don't
do tenders
yeah.
because there's too many people, and so it would not be... You couldn't
feasible.
tender that many people in enough time. Like, you'd have to be there for 3 days to get everyone to shore and back. So they don't go to any...
every port they go to has to have a port.
Has to have a port. Yeah, you can't do a tender.
So that was cool. And then he gave us, if you've heard of the phrase, the bitter end, he told us that came from sailing and from the anchor. So the anchor is obviously the big anchor that you expect when you say the word anchor. And then you have all of the chain that like comes all the way up to the boat. That chain has an organising thing at the top, this like big tube, and it forces the chain to go into a certain position.
Yeah, so that when it
comes out, it goes in
right
properly. But then right at the very end of that chain is a huge plug that's called the bitter end. Ta-da! And the bitter end doesn't fit through that organisational tube. So...
Yeah, if they need to get rid of the anchor, they can just destroy
the bitter end, and it just all comes free, and they'll just drop the anchor and leave it. After the mooring deck, we went to the theatre, which was awesome. Really enjoyed that bit. I think that could be my favourite bit. I like seeing how the behind the scenes of theatre works. We talked to the people that were in charge of the lighting, and we talked to the people that were in charge of the sounds, and all that, and they were saying how they have how many speakers? Do you remember how many speakers they had? Over 100 speakers. Like surround sound.
He was comparing it to like 5.1 surround sound, where you've got 5 speakers and they're all working in one. I think he said 200. It was like in the hundreds.
Was it?
I can't remember.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember. There was a lot of speakers, and they go all the way around the back of the theatre. And the show that we were watching that night was called Sky's the Limit. And he said in that show they have noises of aircraft, and the aircraft noise, depending on where you are in the show, only those speakers will make that noise, so that it gives you the feeling like you're actually in an airport. We talked to the people that do the lighting, and there's no follow spot being operated. It's all automatic. They've all got little tinky winky antennas that have got little sensors on them that the spotlights... Ow.
There's one there too.
That's the microphone.
Oh, he said there's 2.
There doesn't need to be 2.
Yeah, there does, because if they're face on, it can follow that one, but then if they, for some reason, lose the face tracking, they can track the secondary.
There's a microphone there as well, under the wings.
Yeah, there's 2.
And that's how they track the lights, so that they can come on. He's telling us about the microphones, and how somebody has to sit there and turn them on and off. They're not automatic. I thought they would be.
No, they are.
No.
They are automatic. I thought he said.
Oh, they are automatic, and that's why sometimes if the
come in
actor
early,
starts too soon,
you can't hear them.
You don't hear them because they're too early for their cue.
The only thing he said was automatic was the floor. Was not automatic. Were like the pieces of the floor that come up and down.
Oh yeah.
Because it's dangerous for that to be automatic.
Yeah,
because if someone's like just off cue and their mic comes on, whatever. If they're just off cue and the stage is about to come up by a meter,
fall off.
You might die. No, you are not going to die, but you're going to get injured.
You're going to get hurt.
If the stage goes down by 3 meters, you might die, because 3 meters is a long way.
Yeah, so the stage goes down 3 meters and up 1, and they've got a turntable that they can slide on top of the bit that goes down.
So yeah, when it can go down, they put the turntable on, and then when it comes back up, it's got a turntable on it. Oh
yeah, so then we went back to speak to some of the members of the cast. There are 13 members of the Headliners Theatre Company. 5 girls.
No, it was 7 girls, 6 boys.
7 girls, 6 boys. 3 girls sang, and 2 boys sang.
2 were singers, and 1 of the dancers could sing.
Yeah.
And
so
2 of the boys could sing, and the others could not.
So when we watched some of the shows,
and there's obviously 5 members of Take That,
singing.
and there's only 6 boys, and only 2 of them can sing. So like they were organising themselves like they were a band, and like for the first song the 2 singers were the main 2 people, but then like there's 3 other members of the band. For the second song the other 3 members of the band were like at the front, and the other 2 that can actually
They were
sing
really good at
back.
lip syncing.
Yeah, so that was a little bit, you could tell.
I don't think you could.
I could tell, because well, maybe that's just because they told us that only 2 of
Maybe.
them could sing, but like you could tell which 2 were the actual singers.
And they told us about the shows and how because there's only 13 of them, if somebody's poorly, then they have to fix it themselves. So they have to, sort of like rejig.
Change the dance a bit.
Yeah, change the dance
Fill
a
the
bit,
space.
fill the space, make sure the space looks like it's supposed to be like that if somebody's absent. But if there was anybody to be poorly for the Take That performance, the Greatest Days, they just can't run the show because
Everyone
everybody
has
is
a part.
such a big part. They can't move things around, so that show cannot go if people are unwell. They had this huge thing like
American
dry cleaners
yeah,
thing, like this
like
big
you're watching
conveyor.
a film in America, like you're watching an American film and there's a dry cleaners and it's got that huge conveyor on. That's
Yeah.
what they had, but it was like over 2 stories. It came
It was
down.
massive.
All their pieces of clothing had a number on.
And then there was a
And
big
there's
list.
just this big machine and they type on the number and then it comes round and then that's their costume. But they did say stuff falls off sometimes. They have to go and crawl around.
They have
up
to be
there.
careful to make sure that everything goes on there properly, otherwise, it could fall off. They said shoes was the worst for falling off. And they're having to go and crawl around and find the shoes. Where did we go after that? Bridge?
Yeah, straight to bridge.
Then we went straight up to the bridge. We met Captain Paul Brown,
What a guy.
who we later fell out with, but at this point we liked him.
He was just the announcer. I didn't fall out with him particularly.
We fell out with him because he just told us lies. But we'll get there, so...
But he was just a mouthpiece.
He was a mouthpiece for the lies. Anyway, we went up to see Captain Paul Brown. He showed us the bridge, which was huge. I thought it would be a lot smaller than it was, but it wasn't. It was massive. There were 2 other people piloting the ship when we were there, because the captain was talking to us. He takes a lot of control when it goes into port.
Yeah, that's pretty much it though.
He sorts all of that. But yeah, he told us about the way that Arvia was built meant that they wanted it to have a full promenade deck. I don't know if it's the same on Iona, I think it is. They wanted to have a full promenade deck. And to have this full promenade deck, unobstructed by the lifeboats, they needed to build out of the side of the ship, which meant the promenade deck was in the way when it comes to the captain being able to see straight down from the edge of the bridge down to the water.
Yeah, like when you're going into port, he's supposed to stand on the wings, which is why when you look at a cruise ship, it's got like the winged
huge
area
bits.
of the bridge, and there's like a window
That
right
looks
underneath
straight down.
the area that you drive from, so that you can see presumably the port and the boat coming together. But when he looks down, he said that all he sees is a lot of skin.
Yeah, because people walk around, people can sunbathe down there, so yeah, he can't see. So they have a camera, and they said if the camera is not fully operational,
They can't
they
port.
cannot come into port. That was it then, after that, I think. We went for canapes.
and
There was
champagne.
nothing I could have. None of it
Nothing I
was
could have
gluten-free.
either, because it was all disgusting.
It was like fish things.
Yeah, it always is.
It's always fish. I mean, we were
You
on
had the champagne
We were
at
on a
least.
ship. I had the champagne. The champagne was nice. And then, yeah, so we had a photograph up with the captain. And initially we were told you have to buy the photograph. And we were told okay, fine, that's fine.
No, to be fair, no one told me that. I just assumed we'd get the photo because we'd paid
No, we were told, no,
75 quid just to walk in
no,
there.
we knew £25 to buy the photo. So if we wanted the photo, we were going to have to go and buy it. And then the next day, in our little cubby outside our room, appeared this memory stick. So forgive us for thinking, oh, maybe we were wrong. We don't have to buy the picture. The captain's photo could be on this memory stick that they've just given us. Because why else would they give us a memory stick?
And
Unless
it wasn't-
they put
it
the
was
photo
like-
on it.
You get this memory stick because you've been on the behind the scenes tour.
It didn't
wasn't
even
like
say behind
everyone-
the scenes or anything like that. It just says P&O Cruises.
But that was the only reason you got it. Not everyone on the boat got one. It
No,
was only people who'd been on the tour.
So we thought, oh, it's because we've been on the tour, we've got a photo with the captain, they've given us the photo. So we get home, we open it up, and it's just some stock images from the press releases of the boat. So we didn't buy the captain's photo, and we never got the opportunity to. So we were very sad about that. We were in contact with P&O to ask them, can we have it? But we were told that everything is deleted and disposed of once you've left the ship. So yeah, that was the behind the scenes tour. What should we talk about next?
Do you want to do like run through? She made people say some tips that they had.
Mm-hmm. So these are the tips from our fellows on the ship. So Charlie says,
the buffet, don't bother, go to Keys.
Eat at better places than the buffet. I disagree. I like the buffet a lot. But what Charlie was actually referring to is the other dining options that you have available to you for the daytime. So he means like...
You can go to 6th Street, you can go to the diner. I mean, you can go to Keel and Cow, you could go to, again, Keel and...
They are all additional costs.
No, they're not.
Yes,
6th Street isn't.
6th Street isn't. Keel and Cow,
actually,
Green and Co.
When we weren't there, Mum and Dad were going to the dining rooms for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And having like a sat-down lunch. And they did that for dinner as well, God knows why.
We did that once. We went to
breakfast.
No, we went to lunch. Oh, for breakfast. Well, that says... Yeah. We went to the main dining rooms for lunch once, and we looked at the menu, turned around and went to the buffet.
Yeah.
So for us, as a celiac and a picky person, we preferred the buffet. But Charlie, he preferred everything but the buffet. I wrote ring English cash for casino, but I think it's supposed to be bring.
Yeah. Bring English cash if you want to go to the casino, because it's far easier than having to give your card. They're a bit slow with the uptake.
Dealing you in.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Which I thought they'd be quick at, to be fair.
Yeah, and we were only at roulette as well, which is like you could deal people in at any time. So, yeah.
I had did I have £20? I did. I had a £20 note, so I played a couple of games of roulette. I did really well, actually. I somehow came away with £30, so I won 10. My thoughts going into it, I was like, right, I'm going to spend £20 on this experience, and once that £20 is gone, it is gone. But if I have more than that, then bonus. I'd started winning quite I won maybe like 3 or 4 times on the bounce. I won 3 or 4 times on the bounce. So when I got my £20 back, and I had like 4 little piles of 5, and I had that. Whatever else I had in what I'd won, I then just continued to play with until it was gone. And then I walked away with £30 in the end. But I did feel the bug. I was like, I want to go again. But
and then we watched Charlie, Dad, Georgie,
Mark
all played blackjack at the
Did
table.
Mark play?
No, it was just Charlie, Dad and Georgie, I think.
Was it?
We're playing blackjack at the same table.
I wouldn't call what they did playing. I'd call what they did giving the money to the banker.
Yes. I mean, it was just unreal. She shuffled the pack.
It was bizarre.
And then her shift was up. So she left. The new dealer came in, put it in the shoe, and then like the first 5 she got blackjack, and it was just like, what has happened here? And she's not even the one that shuffled it. It was funny.
So I'm pretty much the only winner.
Yes,
I was pretty much the only winner. Do the behind the scenes tour, Georgie says. Yeah, we've talked about that. She said the blackjack table was very fun, but make sure you're quick at maths because they don't always read out your total. We've talked briefly about that. Oh, this is a good one. Look at the horizon in the morning, because on the deals, you can get great deals for the spa. So she got 4 treatments, which included a massage that was, on its own, worth £109. That was part of the deal, and she only paid £90. So, and then she also said gel nail polish is only £20, so get it done on board.
Mark said go to Sindhu.
That's
if you like curry, go
Indian
to Sindhu. But it's not you like curry and there was nothing for you.
If you like curry and you like Indian food, then go. But if you like chicken tikka masala and pilau rice,
and you're like,
don't
I like
bother.
curry, then
don't
yeah,
bother.
it's not for you.
It's not for you. Go to the Sunset. No. Go to the Sunset Swim Up Bar.
Yeah, that's just behind the
We didn't get to go to it.
Behind the buffet.
Yeah.
Actually, we did go to it once, and you dropped your phone in the water. Oh no, that was the infinity pool.
That was the infinity pool. Yeah.
Don't take your phone in the water. That's another sip.
Don't take your phone in the water. Drinks package. We did the drinks package. We did the classic drinks package, which meant anything under £6 something.
Nah, it's like they're basically at every bar. It's
it says it on the menu.
But if it's got a C next to it, you can have it.
So that meant that every cocktail I wanted, I was able to get. None of them were like, oh, that's a deluxe drinks package only. All the ones I was interested in, I could have on the classic drinks package. Di Serrano was included. Malibu, that was all included. Tiki rum included. Only singles though. But that's not a problem because you can have 15 in the day. So you can have 15 of any drinks, 15 total alcoholic drinks in the day each, and that was your allowance. Then you could have any soft drinks that you wanted, including coffees and things from the Costa Coffee. What I was worried about was wanting to get a drink, but then worrying about how much extra it was costing.
So instead, we paid £500 extra up front.
I don't think.
Doesn't exist.
I don't think. Look, that's how girl math works. So I don't think that I think we did get value out of it. I think we got enough out of it. We did. We did it.
I did not get nearly my worth out of it. You did. You might have.
Pretty
I think
much.
you probably broke even.
I probably, yeah.
You weren't in the plus.
No.
The plus at all. At best, you broke even, and I was like maybe halfway there.
I tried to do it, but then dropped my phone in a pool. I was trying to like keep a tally of what drinks I had bought and how much it would have cost, so that then when we did this video, I could sit and I could say, oh, this is how much I actually spent. And this is how much value I got out of the drinks package, but I dropped my phone in a pool, so can't do that because I couldn't take any more notes.
But also,
we also didn't need to take alcohol on board because we'd got the drinks package, which meant no drama trying to get it there and no drama trying to take it home.
So I'm not going to say it's a terrible idea. Don't do it, because I think it's not a terrible idea. It just depends on how much you drink.
Yeah. Here's mine with a sensible tip. Carry a little bag for small games or items that you want around the ship and bring a lanyard for your card. I brought a lanyard but forgot to bring the end bit to put the card in. So I ended up buying one on the ship that broke, and they refused to refund me or give me another one because we were in port and the shop was shut. So they refused to refund me or give me a replacement. In fact, he got a stapler and stapled the damn thing back together. Simone said travelling with a child was difficult for bar stuff. So she felt like she was ignored by serving staff because serving staff were going to big groups of people and taking big group orders of drinks and weren't going to people that were just by themselves. Holly said go to the retreat on sea days.
If you can book
it. If it is worth it, but book it early because it gets booked up. So the retreat is an area that is an additional cost. You can pay for day passes or you can pay for a pass that will last your entire cruise. It's open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and all drinks served within the retreat are included in the cost.
But there's only you can only get cans.
Yeah, so it's cans of beer, wine, red and white wine. There was a rosé and a rosé. Soft drink cans. There was energy drink cans, and then there was these
weird
health shot things that were gross.
Turmeric and carrot.
Yeah. There's only enough passes for as many beds as there are in that area.
Which is 70 odd, I think.
So you'll always get a sunbed. Whether or not that sunbed is in the sun.
No, it's seats.
Seats, yes.
So there are sofas and little chairs, and they're included in the head count.
Yeah.
So if you do have one and you're in there, you might not have a sunbed, you might have a seat.
Yeah. So you still got to be quick in the morning if you do want to reserve a bed. Yeah. It also has got 2 hot tubs in it.
One on each side.
One on either side.
Yeah, so like my parents and the other two they were with on the first week, they had it for the whole 2 weeks. So they didn't get drinks package or anything like that because they just went in there whenever they wanted.
Your mum's tip is next. It says if you're a drinker but not a big drinker, then buy the retreat package, not the drinks package, because you can get all your drinks in there: red, white, rosé, Heineken, and non-alcoholic beer. It's all available in there. But they also bought the wine package, which was which basically worked out as a bottle of wine per night. They could just choose from a list which bottle of wine they wanted with their evening meal. Sandra's tip was to remember to hide the damn duck. We played the duck game, the cruising ducks. So we took the ducks and hid them around the ship. That was a lot of fun. I found one, Charlie found one. Moana really loved hiding them but didn't find any, so we sort of hid ours again for her to find. Oh, and don't abandon your stickers. If you win stickers...
If you win the quiz, you get stickers.
Which I thought was a waste.
If you have loads of stickers, you can win something at the end.
Yeah, so in the final night vlog, I've filmed the giving out of those gifts. We got a drawstring bag.
Where was I?
You were on the other table. You were on the table of 4.
Oh yeah, me, Dad, and...
It was when your dad ate the banana skin.
Oh, that was... Dad ordered this banana based...
It looked vile.
I can't remember what it was.
It was banana and toffee sauce.
And then he struggled to cut into the banana, and it was like...
That's a bad
it
sign.
looked maybe roasted, maybe.
Do you roast
it looked like
bananas?
it had been cooked in some
No,
kind
it
of
looked
way.
like it had... You know, like when you leave a banana out in the air and it goes brown?
But I think that was because it had been cooked. Anyway, he struggles to cut into the banana. At this point, he should have realised that the skin was still on. Then he just puts the whole thing in his mouth. And then he kind of goes, ugh. And I'm like, you just ate the skin. What do you mean, ugh? Of course it's disgusting. You ate the bloody skin, you...
Numpty. So that
was funny.
Yeah. So that's another tip there. Don't eat the banana skin.
If there's the banana thing that's in the dessert...
It's in the skin.
Yeah, don't eat the skin.
Yeah, so I filmed us getting the prizes, which was good. But you need to check when it is they do that, because we
it's on the penultimate day.
On your penultimate C day. So
no, it's on your it's
on your
final
last C day. It's on your last C day, which for us was our penultimate day. So you've got to check on the Horizon page as to find where that is, basically. So, shout outs. Rakesh and Sunil in the Meridian were amazing. They looked after us. They were really good with my celiac, because when I told them once, he was then like, oh, do you want to order your dinner for tomorrow? And I'll make sure it's all prepared, gluten-free and whatever. And on that occasion we had said no, because the next day we were actually going to 6th Street Diner. But when we came back, and he came again with the bread, and I said, oh, I can't, I'm celiac. He said, oh, let me go and get you some gluten-free bread. The next night that we were in there again with them, the gluten-free bread was brought out straight away for me. Advent was the staff member that was in the retreat. He was amazing. Mango from the entertainment team was fun and engaging. She did the quizzes. Melanie in Meridian at the front of house helped us all to sit together throughout our holiday, so she organised every night us to be booked in at 8 o'clock. So thank you, Melanie. Charlotte from the excursions team organised our tour so that we could all do everything together. Lisa and Brendan on the fun bus made the experience fantastic. Loved Lisa and Brendan. Jose on the safari bus of the Dominican Republic was excellent. He was extremely knowledgeable and really, really fun. The catamaran in St. Kitts was a great experience, but there was a difficulty and a barrier to going swimming because you had to lift yourself back onto the boat after jumping off. There's no ladder or dock. Aidan and Georgia at altitude were fantastic. They were really supportive of Moana as well, getting her up there. The shows were just absolutely fabulous. Sky's the Limit and the Christmas show were fantastic. 4 actors in the panto were amazing, but you might get splashed if you sit near the front. We didn't go to the panto, so that must have been from Moana. She went to the panto. And it's not on there, but the Take That show was also fantastic.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to see that, so...
We weren't supposed to see that. That could bring us on nicely to our final piece of this Spill the Tea vlog. Oh,
So the flying day.
the flying.
We were supposed to meet at 2:30 in the theatre to get off, and that was you get your bus to the airport. So then, whilst we were at breakfast, it was maybe 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. No, a bit earlier.
9:30.
9:30, 10. Yeah, that we get an announcement to say that the plane's been delayed due to the weather in England. So at least we won't be we won't be getting off till 5:30. That's the time that we'll meet at the theatre now.
Yeah, so we get there.
But then we hear nothing for the rest of the day. Nothing.
Nothing.
And then at 5:30 we go to the...
We had a nice day.
Yeah, we did okay.
We had breakfast.
And at that point it was like, oh, we've got a few bonus hours. Let's do some stuff. So
let's do some sunbathing.
Yeah. So we
got our room back as well.
Yeah, we got our room till
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah. Which was nice.
Meant we could go back to the room, freshen up.
Yeah.
So then
at 5:30 we go to the theatre, and the atmosphere in the theatre at this point is like dead. People are not happy already.
People were cross.
Because I think at this point people were like, right, it's time to go now. We've been here for an extra few hours. Yeah. It's been fun. Let's go.
Time to go home.
But then the lady at the front gets told, seemingly at the same time as we do, to say that basically we're going to be on the boat till 1 a.m. The boat's not... something's happened, and the crew have had their regulated rest period interrupted, and so they're not able to fly again. Fine. You've got to stay on the boat till 1 o'clock. You can take your bags, 1 a.m. Bags to this random place
to the
on
Ivory
deck
Suite.
16, where you can leave them and get a ticket.
Because they needed them out of the theatre so that people could enjoy the theatre show in the evening.
So at this point, we then went to do that. We dropped the bags off, and then we kind of sat in Beachcomber wondering what the hell to do.
We had some more
drinks.
Decided
that we were going to go
still active, so we had some more drinks.
They kept the drinks packages extended till...
We lost our Wi-Fi package.
But we only lost the Wi-Fi after we'd been to the show. So we decided we'd go to the show.
At 8
because it was the Take That show that we weren't ever going to see otherwise. So we went to the 8 o'clock showing of the show. A, because it wasted an hour. And B, because we would never have got to see it otherwise, and it was somewhere to sit. At this point, I was thinking, I don't want to sleep until I get on the plane, because I can't sleep on the plane unless I'm...
tired.
And so, if we end up getting on the plane after I've slept for a couple of hours, I'm not going to sleep the whole time. And I didn't want to do that. So I kept myself awake, just walking around. We were on like deck 18 above the...
adults area.
Above the adults area. And I was just doing laps.
Quite a few people up there as well.
Everyone else was asleep.
Wrapped myself up in beach towels.
With beach towels on a
sunbed.
On a sunbed. Thankfully, it didn't rain.
Thankfully, it did. It rained as we were leaving.
At about 12:30, when we were making our way back to the theatre, it started raining. So we were like, thankfully that didn't happen whilst we were all asleep, because that would have been funny actually. That would have been very entertaining to me.
When we got to the theatre around 12:30, there was set up at the front for us was a couple of cans of like drinks. There was some crisps, sweets, things like that P&O had fetched out from the shops that they said were shut, and that's why they couldn't refund my lanyard.
Anyway, we then get shoved on the boat, on the bus, and it's like, okay, bus to the airport was actually pretty quick.
20 minutes.
So that was fine. Then we got off and went to...
at that point,
and obviously at that point there's
we'd
literally...
been told we were flying at 4:30.
Oh yeah, about 4:30. They said that the flight was going to take off.
Yeah.
And at this point, Dad had already seen that the airport website said that the flight wasn't due till 7:30. So we kind of knew that we were in for the long haul.
And that's what upset the most of us.
And Charlie had basically asked, when are we still due to fly at 4:30? And Guy looked at us and said, yeah, absolutely, you're flying at 4:30.
This guy told us incorrect.
Just complete lies. And that's the,
that's the bit that's
the worst part, is the whole day they were lying to us. And for whatever reason, they kicked us off at 1 a.m. just to go to the airport. And if they'd have known, which they probably did, because the airport website said it the whole time, that we were leaving at 7:30, they should have kicked us off at 6 o'clock, given us a hotel room, and told us to be at the airport, and got a shuttle from said hotel to the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning. We then get kicked to the airport, and as soon as we get to the airport, so literally not 15 minutes later, the board says that we're not taking off till 5:30. So already we're an hour later then the P&O man said, so complete lie. That's how we know it was a complete lie, because immediately it was incorrect.
Yeah.
So either they're not telling their employees what's going on, which means that employees aren't able to tell us, and so it feels like we're being lied to, and that's because they're not telling us the whole truth. But it would have been so much better for them just to say, oh, no, I'm sorry, it's been delayed again to 5:30 at the moment.
Because, we're going to be upset about it, but at least we have the truth at that point.
So we get to the airport at this point about 1:15, 20 past 1. You're through security by 21 minutes past because there's literally nobody else in the airport.
It was one guy looking at a screen and he's just doing this as we're all
Someone
walking
had clearly called up one of the cafes because they had staff in and were making absolute bank from us because everyone was hungry and thirsty because they just had to get rid of the drinks that we'd got for free.
So everyone was having to pay for extra food and
Everyone was having to buy their own drinks. Then
we didn't get on the plane until about 7:30.
No, we didn't get on. We got on the plane about 6:30, and it didn't try and take off till 7:30. So between about 1:30 and 5:30, they were all asleep.
We all slept on the floor, in the chairs, wherever we could.
Yeah, Moana, Charlie slept on the floor. Holly,
the most heartbreaking
Dad,
bit.
Mark, and Mum were sleeping in the chair, and Sandra were sleeping in the chairs.
There were some people in wheelchairs that were just sleeping there.
Like in their wheelchair.
We're just sat in wheelchairs sleeping. Like elderly people sleeping in wheelchairs. Because we were there at stupid o'clock in the morning for no reason.
Yeah, and then finally we're boarding, and you get to the front, you give your boarding pass, and they're like, you go across and you take the right. Or
your seat is 8H. Like, go this
And they're
way.
like, no, you don't need that. It's free seating. We're like, oh, sorry.
Fuming.
It's free seating. So, but thankfully, because people are stupid, they're all sitting at the front.
Well, when they started doing the boarding call, they said, people that need additional assistance, people with small children.
And then people who have extra leg room.
People with extra leg room. And when that was called, we started noticing the line of regular queuers was getting longer. So your dad said,
just get in the queue.
So we got in the queue and we ran straight to the back of the plane, and luckily me, you, Holly and Charlie got to sit together.
Yeah, we initially sat down and then Holly and Charlie were like, we think there's seats
loads of seats at the back.
So we kept going further back. We found Mum and Dad on their extra legroom seat and found a seat next to that. Or kind of
we were
behind
like 2 rows behind and the 4 in the middle.
And the problem that had occurred was the plane that we were scheduled to be on was
wrong configuration.
Was out of action, and so they just used a different plane, and the plane we were supposed to be on was 333, and the plane we were on was 242, so there was a seat missing. So they couldn't just rearrange people. What they should have done was been reprinting people boarding cards and changing your seat.
We have had a refund of the £180. No, the £90
for that seat, because as it turns out, we did actually get the right seats on the way out there.
We got our seats on the way out, but we did not get our seats on the way back. So we have had a refund for that. That came through very quickly.
Yeah, we got that real quick.
In total, by the end, we were how many hours delayed?
So we were supposed to leave at 5:45. Oh no, sorry, we were supposed to arrive at Gatwick at 5:45 a.m. and we ended up landing in Gatwick
on the 30th.
Yeah, on the 31st.
Oh, on the 31st.
Landing on the morning of New Year's Eve, and we ended up landing at 10:40 p.m. on the 31st. On New Year's Eve. So we were 12 would be 5, we were 17 hours delayed.
And that entitled us to compensation. We'd been on the Citizens Advice Bureau, I do say that in the other vlog, about £500 or so, because it's a European flight. It's a European regulated flight. Yeah. We have been told by P&O it is Malith's problem, not theirs. Bearing in mind our contract is with P&O.
But also, that aside, okay, they're the airline, they're supposed to pay, but P&O caused more issues by not telling us the truth.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they should compensate us, okay, maybe not £500, but maybe something to say sorry for lying to you for 12 hours.
We had to sleep where we could on the ship. Sunbeds. I saw people laying across sofas in like the bar areas and things like that. People in wheelchairs having to fall asleep in their wheelchairs. Children on the floor. And all of that could have been rectified by putting us in a hotel.
Yeah. So, as it turns out, the plane was actually fine. And the flight went well. And the landing was just about as good a landing as I've ever experienced.
Phenomenal. Bearing in mind the wind was really strong. The pilot did an excellent job. Well done, pilot.
Really strong landing. I was between you and my sister, who were not good landers. And as we were coming in, I'm thinking there's going to be full panic when we hit the ground. But actually, we just
literally, have we actually?
And then we barely kissed the ground. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
And I mean, the funniest thing that happened all day was that about 5:30 in the airport, when the crew arrived, they got the loudest
round of applause
cheer that I've ever heard in my entire life.
They come walking down the way. And
there was only
it frightened me to death. I was asleep.
There was only 280 of us maybe.
Yeah.
And it was about as loud as when you're in a football stadium and the referee finally gives you a foul. It was literally that bad.
On the plane, they did a fair job. They delivered our food. They did 2 drink services.
I would say that the Malif Aero steward and stewardesses are the best I've ever experienced in my life. They are bad.
It was definitely something them asking me to find the other people that were also had ordered gluten-free meals. I went to the back of the plane you've given my seat to somebody else, or my seat doesn't exist on this aircraft. How are you going to get my gluten-free meal to me? So he was like, what seat you in now? So I told him. And then he was like, do you know if there's anybody else around you that's ordered this meal? And I was like, no.
Why would we know that? But then obviously at this point, I fell asleep quite easily because I'd been awake all day. And despite the fact that we only took off at 7 a.m. and normal human beings don't go to sleep at that time, because I'd been awake since maybe 8 a.m. the previous day, I'd been up for a full 24 hours, I fell asleep. We attempted a takeoff, it got aborted, people left the plane, we were there for another 3 hours, and we actually eventually then took off at 10, so a 2-hour delay because of unforeseen circumstances with the aircraft. But
it's just long.
I slept that whole time, and then I slept for probably the first 5 hours of the flight too.
So, if we were to sum up our entire cruise experience...
The front and the back was average, plane, pretty poor, service on plane, very poor, landed, fine. Got to the boat, everything's nice, woo, boat. People on the boat, maybe a little bit sketchy, like the staff sometimes were a bit rude. But the boat itself, good experience, and then the last day was just an absolute mess.
Would you cruise with P&O again?
I'd like to say yes, because the first time it was pretty perfect, and that time it was the boat itself was fine. It was just the Malif Aero. What would happen is if I booked another P&O cruise and they told me that an airline from the middle of nowhere that I'd never heard of was going to be my airline, I'd cancel the cruise.
Yeah. I will not cruise with P&O again until they are making better business decisions with flights. When I can see that they are consistently flying with TUI, BA, at this point,
which they are every other time. And allegedly, the only reason they had Malith is because one of the airlines that they were using let them down, so they had to find last-minute flights. So it kind of was only half their fault.
Yeah.
In the end, but realistically, they should have just given up on the charter and and just said, right, we're going to book you on these regular flights to Barbados or whatever, because that was just not it. You just can't be using them as a chartered airline.
They're not built for it.
No.
They were not built for it. So that's our review.
Boat good, planes bad.
Yeah. Boat good, planes bad. I would recommend P&O to people.
If you were getting on at Southampton, perfect.
Oh, Southampton, the best though. I'd love to get on at Southampton again. I can't wait to cruise from Southampton.
Because then you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to get on Virgin, BA, TUI, or...
You're just going to get on the ship.
No, you just get to get on the ship.
So, thank you for watching.
It's been so long, it's dark.
It's got dark. Thank you for watching. Our next vlog series is going to be Disney. We are flying with BA. Out to Florida. We're spending 2 weeks in the beautiful Florida Disney World. I'm excited. You have straight left.
Yeah.
Bye then.
Bye.
See you at Easter.